So the Army has total army analysis, and decisions are made off of that. And so as those things come out, we'll look. I mean, right now, 50 to 75% of all three of those regiments are in the reserve in the Guard. So we already got a lot of folks. I mean, 102nd changed commands this weekend. We still have a lot. I don't know what the throughput would be based off that. Because today we train active Guard and reserve guys for our basic combat training and advanced individual training today. So I'm not sure about the growth on.
I think more command and staff presence.
Yeah. I don't know. It just depends on what ends up happening and what we need to realign. I haven't had a chance to talk with General Webb or the Missouri TAG, but I think I'm going to see him at the State Fair, and he and the governor will probably tell me some things. Okay. Who else? Yes, sir.
First of all, you need to know I'm a skeptic.
Okay.
Not of you, but of the idea that the war is over. I don't believe the war is over at all. I think the battle has stopped for a while. I think the conflict is continuing. Furthermore, I expect it to expand to the Arctic as people develop resources of oil and minerals there. And you folks are going to have an additional mission of trying to fight battles in the Arctic, which we haven't done recently. You've been down the other side of the globe. So, what is it we can do that we skeptics who believe that the whole thing they're selling today is wrong?
Very good question. Well, let me just tell you this, sir. We never fight the next war based off our current one. How about that? So the challenge is, how do we maintain readiness across a full spectrum at the same time while the Army is going through changes? Okay? And that's why when you see folks, it comes down to leadership and how we train people to do the full spectrum of missions. So today a soldier could be in Alaska, and then tomorrow he could be in Afghanistan, based off whatever the mission sets that we were asking him to do. So, do I think that this thing is over? No, of course. People think in thousands of years versus centuries like we do. But we can't. The strength of our nation is not our military. The strength of our nation is our economy. Okay? So as that grows, that allows us to do other things. Okay? And you also got to understand, when I'm talking about those 20 soldiers, that is a small microcosm, and the nation doesn't know what that is. But they know that we've been in these locations for the last 10 to 12 years. And folks are tired, even though they haven't been doing it. They're tired of seeing and understanding what that means. So you got to think about, how do we maintain that readiness level that we got to do to be ready for what the next thing is, even though we don't know what it is. Again, it comes back to the leadership, to be able to be ready to execute the mission that the nation's calling us to do. We'll be ready because we have too much memory of Korea, of us youngsters, even 2003. I mean, that's almost ancient history to the young guys. Of things that we should have done because we've been there. We know what those things are. And we just have to make sure we share that with our youngsters so they don't get caught short. Okay? Yes, sir.
Is sequestration reduce the number of soldiers in town for training?
No, not yet. Do I expect it to be? I don't know. Some decisions will be made accordingly. But you got to understand that the Budget Act and everything else ties into the total army analysis, which are decisions that are mandated from OSD and others down. Because again, the bottom line is that it's about funding, which funding tells you how many soldiers, how many tanks, how many rallies, all you have, and across all services. And our biggest expense is people in the Army. Anybody else? Okay, you and then you, sir. You have a mic?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Then I'll come to you.
Oh, thank you. I'm from Missouri, SNT, it's a public institution, and just listening to this presentation, we are also faced with similar challenges of resources. Our state budget for education is shrinking, and we are being challenged to innovate and contain the costs. And we have been trying to be more entrepreneurial, think like a private institution. Does Army have the luxury to not just rely on federal or other budgets and be more like business-like, so that you can also generate revenues to do something? So are there some transferable skills that can be transferred to companies like Apple or many? I'm just thinking aloud here.
You mean like us selling our services to Apple?
No, I mean an example.
Okay.
But it seems to be like there has to be a revenue generation component without compromising national security.
Yeah, you know, there's some countries that do that. Egypt is one, and I'm not being facetious, but I was there before they imploded. So Egypt, the military controlled a lot of the activities that were outside of the country. And other countries do that, but we can't afford to do it because of the separation of civilian control of the military and the missions that we're asked to do. So that's like a thin line. Can we be more efficient? Yes. What I really wish would happen is if Fort Leonard Wood as a community was very efficient, I could keep the money to use it for something else. That's what I want. Or if Company A or Company B was efficient, they could take those dollars and do other things with it. We're not quite there yet, but that's our goal, to increase our efficiency. Okay? Did you have a question, sir? Next question. Who was it? Okay, yes, go ahead.
Well, there's an opportunity here today. You have a large group of people from all over the region.
Okay.
Leaders, business people, university, very diverse group here today. My question would be, this is kind of weird.
Yeah.
No,
This one.
yeah, this one. Seems kind of strange, but what can we do for you?
Yes. give me a hand. Let me show you this. Come on, no, other side. No, give me this hand. So now this is strange to Americans, okay? Now, but if we were in Africa, South America, some other places, this is a sign of endearment. Okay, so that's why I'm holding your hand, because you're like my brother. That's what you do for me. And he's taking a picture too. Look at it. You're gonna be famous today on Facebook. What you can do is, I mean, the things I've been mentioning the whole time is working together as a team, figuring out how we can solve problems at the appropriate level, and we see what they are. Okay, let me just tell you a case in point. I'm full of stories. Is this thing up and ready? Okay. In 2005, I driving to Fort Leonard Wood. And me and my wife, Benita, are like, wow, very interesting. And so we had to drive to Springfield to have a birthday party for my kids, my oldest daughter, I think. And so the idea came to me to say, hey, we need a Chuck E. Cheese in Fort Leonard Wood. We could support it. We really could support it. But when I called Chuck E. Cheese, you know what they said? They're too small. Now, fast forward to today. We have a Buffalo Wild Wings. Every time I drive out there, it's crowded. I don't know who owns it, but they probably make a lot of money. But the issue comes down to is that you got to have people who can see the vision of where we need to go, and then help push what those things are, both inside and outside of the base. Okay, so that's how you can help them. Take care of our soldiers, mentor them, and I was talking to some NCOs about. You see soldiers, and whether or not you've been in the military, you know when something's right or something's wrong. You can talk to them and say, hey, look, we know this is not the right way that we should do it. Right? Right. In our hotels or other places, we know that this is the way you're supposed to be. And I got General Smith's phone number, and I'm going to call him right now and watch him pass out. But the issue is that we as a community are responsible for each other. Like I said, I'm from Georgia. So as a kid growing up, I knew if I did something wrong, not only would my mom know about it, but my neighbors and the neighbors' neighbors knew about it. We got to get back to that. Because I am invested not only in you, but in your kids, and then in turn your kids' kids. If we invest in them, that means the community is better. That means the nation is better by doing it. And not being told to do those things. Everybody understand what I'm talking about? So it seems like a simple thing, but it's really, really hard to do sometimes when people are just looking at their shoulder straw and not looking at the entire picture of how it ties together. So that's what you can do for me, sir. And keep being a friend. Okay, yes?
On the theme of sustainability, I just wanted to share with you, last weekend, we had an opportunity with a major hotel in St. Louis, and they donated 350 rooms totally for veterans.
Wow.
And we made a call out, and 135 of your enlisted personnel showed up to help move. And so the question is how do we help you in getting that word out to get it, because it went to community as well as a facility that we're doing. So how do we participate in that? The second phase is I have something for you, just like this gentleman. The Teamsters were blessed us, and they donated all the trucks, all the drivers, and supplies. So I actually have a card here for you to support 135 baby showers.
Wow.
For your enlisted men. It's about $30,000 worth of donated material.
Wow.
That's awesome. From Heroes Care for you to give to your wife so you can make a call to the back end and it'll be delivered.
Well, let's give him a hand.
So, it really falls on you. I love your humor, your wit, but really more of your engagement. And whatever we can do to help.
Right.
That'd be great.
Thank you. That's what I'm talking about.
So how do we help? The question is how do we continue to help you?
You just keep pushing the things that you got that way. And then what we'll do, we'll make sure it gets to the appropriate people, the ACS, Army Community Services, because we call it the transition process. So a young family coming into the military may not have the skills associated to deal with what we have dealt with. And first duty station, first time coming in, and they can't cope with it. And that's what I'm talking about, how the community can help. Not only through the things, just through the presence and through talking to folks about what those things are. And then as you get the things in, we'll make sure that we get your information, which we have now. We'll put you on the list through ACS so you know. And then you need to come and see what the fruit of your labor is, and folks to talk to them about that point. Okay? Thank you very much. Yes, who else? I think I got like 4 minutes. Okay? Thank you, other mic person. Thank you, Doris.
Hello,
Hello.
and thank you for your presentation. And I agree, you have a wonderful presence. It's enjoyable to have you here talking with us. As you deal with building partnerships, one of the most essential components is communication and process.
Yes.
I'm curious to know how this partnership's communication and process has been defined, and if there are further steps that you perceive as being needed in order to, create all those tendrils of connection that will make it successful.
Yes, thank you very much. The key thing to that is establishing what we call a battle rate. So how often do we talk? What do we talk about? And what are the takeaways from that? So for example, my goal is to, on a monthly basis, just like I send information up to my higher headquarters, is to send it to the community. Hey, these are things that we got going on within the community. This is how we can use your help. Probably won't come from me, probably come from the garrison or some other place from there. Excuse me. So that's how we do it. And then the dialogue. We have, I can't remember, how often do we, Casey, get together with the senior leaders, senior civilian leaders, quarterly, to talk about what's happening on Fort Leonard, and then they can ask any questions of me. And our public affairs officer, anytime you can contact her on what those things are. She's right there, right there. And they ask what those things are. And you can become a friend of our Facebook page. You can like Fort Leonard. We have 35,000 people. You can be 35,001. Right? But we got more than that, but you can be whatever that is. Okay? All right. Who else? One more. Yes, ma'am. You're the last lucky questionnaire.
You want me to talk on the mic, or
You can talk to Mike. Go ahead.
You served in a lot of different places. You mentioned Egypt, a lot of different installations. I hate to tell you, the young lady over there who asked you the question was Senator McCaskill's office. We got you surrounded. And 2 congressmen's offices, too. Okay, back to the question. You served in a lot of places. You've been here 3 times now. One thing, or one of maybe a couple top things that you might wish to see this post do, have, or become. One of those questions, you can answer any.
I could talk for another 15 minutes on that one. Okay. I would like the post to be known and respected for what it is, not Fort Austin Woods. But Fort Leonard was Seminole University for engineer, chemical, and military police, and the only DODs. So it's how we tell our story. And we were talking about that before, how we need you to help tell our story. And how we get people in, via the senators and aides and others, to tell the story. Because anytime somebody comes, once people leave Fort Leonard Wood, they're never, ever the same. Okay? Not only just because of the facilities, it's the feel, it's the people, you know, it's the people that are there. So that would be the first thing. What would I change? Figure out how outside the gate and inside the gate we synchronize even better on things that we do. Again, without being told to do it. Remember, this is my third time. So there are things that we know we need to do, but we're not doing them. And that's why I'm here. Y'all know that's why I'm here, right? I'm a nice guy, but I'm a tough guy too. Okay? And I think the third thing is how we help teach our young people, whether they are young civilians that work for us, young soldiers who become officers that are inside the fence line there, young soldiers, young NCOs that are here, and then those young soldiers. How do we show them what we know, but not make it mandatory or make it, it's like it's a family. I mean, it's one thing to talk about it, it's another thing to do it. So my challenge, as I mentioned before, how do we make sure we establish that linkage and we help folks understand what it means to be not only good soldiers, because while that's good, I'd rather be more important that you're a good person. And then how we teach the people who are in Waynesville High School, the young people that are there. Do they really know what things they have the capability of doing, or what they only know via their counselor? Who else is helping them see what is around the corner? Those type of things. So we as a community are vested in the future of our young folks, because they're going to be replacing us sooner than we think, and not just what I call us privileged folks, like, because I'm privileged, I'm really privileged to be the commanding general, but that brand new private that came in the Army, how do we invest that same thing to them until they get their own legs to be able to teach somebody else? Okay? All right. If I see you someplace, please speak to me, because I won't forget your face. I might forget your name, but I'll say, hey, how you doing? Then you'll be all embarrassed. So just say hello when you see me, okay? Proud to serve with you.
You know, as an old JAG captain, I get the message. I follow instructions. You know, but it's not often that we get this kind of time with the commanding general. And, sir, we appreciate that. You've always opened the communication lines. And our goal here is to see a third star.
Thank you, sir.